Hello, and welcome. Today, we are going to address one of the most confusing and persistent challenges for anyone managing diabetes, the question of fruit. You are told that fruit is healthy, a natural food packed with essential vitamins and minerals. But in the very next breath, you are warned that it is full of sugar, a carbohydrate that can send your blood glucose soaring. So which is it? What is the truth? I understand that trying to navigate this landscape can be more than just confusing. That is why today we are going to cut through that noise. We will address the title of this video head-on: Diabetics. Stop eating this one fruit immediately. I promise you that by the end of our time together, you will know exactly what that means. But the answer may not be what you think. It is, however, an answer grounded in the clinical experience of the nation's leading endocrinologists, an answer that will give you clarity, confidence, and control. Let's begin with a foundational truth from the field of endocrinology, the medical specialty focused on diabetes and metabolism. For decades, a common myth has persisted that because fruit contains sugar, people with diabetes should avoid it. But leading endocrinologists today will tell you this is a dangerous oversimplification. In fact, major clinical studies have shown the opposite. Greater consumption of whole fruits is significantly associated with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes and fewer complications for those who already have it. A large-scale analysis published in the journal Endocrinology found that people who ate about 2 servings of fruit per day had a 36% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes over 5 years. The key word, which we will return to again and again, is whole. Now, I recognize that hearing this might be unsettling. If you've spent years diligently avoiding fruit, learning that you may not have needed to can be jarring. But I want you to see this as a moment of liberation, not frustration. This is the first step toward a diet that is not only healthier, but also more enjoyable and less restrictive. To illustrate the real problem, let me share a story that one of the country's top diabetes educators often tells. It's about a gentleman in his early 70s. Let's call him Robert. After his diagnosis, Robert became terrified of sugar. He meticulously cut out all fruit. No more morning banana, no more apple for a snack. But his cravings for something sweet didn't disappear. Instead, he found himself reaching for processed, sugar-free cookies and snacks to satisfy them, foods devoid of the vitamins, minerals, and especially the fiber his body truly needed. He was following a rule, but his health wasn't improving. Now let's contrast Robert's story with another common clinical observation. A patient, we'll call her Susan, who is diligent about her health. She avoids soda and sweets. Every morning, she has a large glass of 100% pure, no sugar-added orange juice, believing it's a healthy choice. Yet she and her doctor are baffled by the consistent, sharp spike in her blood sugar every single morning. Do you see the disconnect? Robert was avoiding the right category, fruit, for the wrong reasons. Susan was consuming the right category, fruit, in the wrong form. And it's in the space between these two stories that we find the real problem. The issue isn't the category of the food. This brings us to our first non-negotiable strategy, a cornerstone of modern diabetes management: the whole fruit mandate. The clinical guidance is unequivocal. Whenever you choose to eat fruit, it must be in its whole natural form, fresh or frozen. Why is this so critical? Because when you eat a whole fruit, you are not just consuming sugar. You are consuming that sugar packaged inside a complex, brilliant structure of dietary fiber. Think of this fiber as a microscopic, built-in braking system. The soluble fiber in fruit dissolves in your digestive tract, forming a gel-like substance that physically slows down digestion. This slow, gradual process prevents the rapid flood of sugar into your bloodstream that is so dangerous for blood sugar control. Juice, on the other hand, is fruit with its braking system completely removed. The juicing process pulverizes and discards all that protective fiber, essentially pre-digesting the fruit for you. What's left is a concentrated shot of what endocrinologists call free sugar. Sugar that is untethered from fiber and can rush into your bloodstream like a flash flood, causing a dramatic spike. If you're just starting to reintroduce fruit, or you know you're particularly sensitive to carbohydrates, a great place to start is with lower glycemic fruits. These are fruits that have a naturally gentler effect on blood sugar. Think of berries. Blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries are all excellent choices with low glycemic index scores, often around 25. Cherries, pears, and apples are also wonderful, low glycemic options. Now here is a critical mistake many people make, being misled by labels. You will see juice cartons that say 100% juice or no added sugar. And while that may be technically true, it is irrelevant from a metabolic standpoint. The problem isn't just added sugar. I know that letting go of a morning glass of juice you've enjoyed for years can be a real change. But think of it this way. You are swapping a hidden risk for a visible, tangible benefit. You are choosing the food that nourishes and protects you over the one that works against you. Our first principle was about choosing the right form of fruit. Our second principle is about building the right team around it. A leading clinical nutritionist with over 30 years of experience working with diabetic patients puts it this way: never let a carbohydrate go out alone. This is the strategic pairing principle. It means that when you eat a piece of fruit, you should always pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat. This adds a second, powerful layer of blood sugar control. The protein and fat act as another brake on digestion, further slowing the absorption of the fruit's sugar and, just as importantly, keeping you feeling full and satisfied for much longer. Now, a common question that arises here is, what about dried fruit? This is an excellent question because dried fruit is still technically whole fruit, but its form has been altered in a very significant way. Here is the clinical guidance. Dried fruit must be treated with extreme caution. The process of dehydration removes all the water, creating a very dense, compact source of sugar and calories. This leads to a huge problem of portion distortion. Consider this stunning fact from nutrition science. Just 2 tablespoons of raisins, a tiny handful, contains the same amount of carbohydrate, about 15 grams, as an entire small apple or a full cup of blackberries. It is incredibly easy to mindlessly eat a large portion of dried fruit and send your blood sugar soaring. The expert advice is to think of unsweetened dried fruit not as a snack, but as a condiment. A few raisins sprinkled on a salad or a single chopped date in your oatmeal. And when you do eat it, the pairing principle is even more critical. Always eat it with a source of protein and fat, like a handful of nuts, to help buffer its potent impact. It's so easy to get this wrong, and it is not your fault. A bag of trail mix can seem like a healthy choice, but often it's mostly dried fruit, sweetened nuts, and chocolate pieces. So please, don't feel bad if this is a new concept. This is about gaining new knowledge so you can make new choices with confidence. Let's pause here for a moment and synthesize what we've learned. We started with a state of confusion, where fruit was both a friend and an enemy. We've now replaced that confusion with 2 clear, evidence-based principles. First, the whole fruit mandate, which tells us to choose fruit in its natural, fiber-rich form. Second, the strategic pairing principle, which tells us to team that fruit up with protein and fat. It's important to see how these are not separate ideas, but a system. The first strategy selects the right player for your team, the whole fruit. The second strategy builds a strong defensive line around that player. Together, they create a powerful defense against blood sugar spikes, keeping your body in a state of stable, calm energy. And I want to commend you for your attention. Taking the time to understand these details is a significant step. You are learning the why behind the rules, and that is the foundation of true control over your health. But there is a deeper layer to this. The strategies we've discussed are incredibly effective. But why do they work so well? And what does this all have to do with the one fruit you must stop eating? To answer that, we need to look at the underlying mechanism at play, which will reveal the single most important principle for making all of this effortless. Up to this point, we focused on preventing the dangerous spikes in blood sugar. Now, let's focus on creating the good. What happens in your body when you successfully apply these strategies? The result is something called glycemic stability, or stable blood sugar. And the benefits are not just long-term. When your blood sugar is on a roller coaster, spiking high after a meal and then crashing low, your body experiences a cascade of negative effects. The crash can leave you feeling irritable, anxious, and plagued by brain fog. It also triggers intense cravings for more sugar to bring your levels back up, creating a vicious cycle. But when you eat in a way that promotes stable blood sugar, by choosing whole, fiber-rich foods and pairing them correctly, you step off that roller coaster. The science is simple. You provide your body with a slow, steady release of energy, like feeding a fire with a solid log instead of a flash of gasoline. And here's what you can expect to feel, often within just a few days of making these changes. First, you'll notice more stable, consistent energy throughout the day. That classic mid-afternoon slump where you feel completely drained of energy can begin to disappear. Second, you may notice an improvement in your mood and mental clarity. With a steady fuel supply, your brain can focus better, and feelings of irritability can lessen. And third, you will likely experience a reduction in cravings. When your body isn't experiencing those dramatic glucose crashes, the desperate call for a quick sugar fix quiets down, giving you a profound sense of control over your food choices. These immediate, tangible benefits are your body's way of telling you that you're on the right path. At the beginning of this video, I promised to tell you the one fruit that diabetics must stop eating immediately. And now, the answer should be clear. It isn't a banana, it isn't a mango or a grape. The one fruit you must stop eating is any fruit that has been robbed of its most precious protective asset. It is any fruit that has been stripped of its fiber. It is fruit in the form of juice. It is fruit in the form of an oversized portion of dried fruit. It is fruit that has been processed into a sugary, fiberless snack. This brings us to our grand finale, the single unifying idea that makes all of this simple. It's what I call the fiber-first principle. It's a concept built on decades of research, showing that dietary fiber is one of the most powerful tools for managing diabetes, improving everything from blood sugar to cholesterol to body weight, and even reducing the risk of premature mortality. The principle is this: before you eat a carbohydrate-containing food, ask yourself one simple question. Is the fiber intact? This single question is your compass. It will guide you effortlessly. A whole apple? The fiber is intact. Yes. Apple juice? The fiber is gone. No. A bowl of steel-cut oats? The fiber is intact. Yes. A slice of white bread? The fiber has been stripped away. No. A handful of berries? Yes. A berry-flavored candy? No. Adopting this one principle makes everything else easier. You don't have to memorize long lists or complex charts. You simply have to learn to see food through the lens of its fiber. When you prioritize fiber, you are prioritizing stable blood sugar. You are prioritizing a healthy gut. And you are prioritizing a body that works with you, not against you. This is the path to transformation, moving from a diet of confusing rules to a simple, powerful principle that puts you in charge. So let's bring this all together into a simple 3-step action plan you can start today. Step 1. Swap. Swap every drop of fruit juice, soda, and other sugary drinks for water. This is your single biggest and fastest win for your blood sugar control. Step 2. Pair. When you eat whole fruit, always pair it with a healthy fat or protein. A handful of nuts, a piece of cheese, a dollop of plain yogurt. Make this your unbreakable snacking rule. Step 3. Portion. Be especially mindful of portion sizes, particularly with dried fruit and higher sugar fresh fruits. Use unsweetened dried fruit as a small garnish, not a large snack. And as you begin, please remember this. This journey is about progress, not perfection. There will be days that are harder than others. That is part of being human. The daily management of a condition like diabetes can be mentally and emotionally exhausting. The goal is not to be flawless. Thank you for investing this time in your health. It is the most valuable investment you can ever make. We know that change is easier when we do it together. So I invite you to join our community in the comments below. Don't just tell us your favorite fruit. Tell us the one small swap or pairing you are inspired to try this week. Will you swap your morning juice for a whole orange? Will you try pairing your apple with almond butter? Your commitment might be the exact encouragement another person needs to see today. Let's support one another. Stay informed, stay empowered, and take good care. If you found this information valuable, please consider liking this video and sharing it with someone you care about. And subscribe for more evidence-based guidance to help you live your healthiest life.